Hi everyone, it's Laura here and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video I'm gonna show you how I created two cards using products by Tommy Art for the second birthday of the Facebook group Card Making Italia. Before diving into today's tutorial, I wanted to show you these products for a minute. So I had the opportunity to play around with the Brilli gel. And this is gel medium, which comes in different colors where you have glitter mixed in it. So this one here is luce, which means light. Then we have this cristalli di carbone, which means cold crystals, and it's absolutely gorgeous. This one here is polvere di fata, which means fairy dust. And finally, this is a different product. It's called Timbrillo and it has a very nice pearlescent and glittery finish and can be used in combination with other products to add shimmer and shine. So I just created a quick swatch for you to see these products in action. This one was the luce, so light. This is the cold crystals and it really looks like black sugar. It's beautiful. It's one of my favorites, really. And you can see here how shiny they are when they catch the light. This one is the polvere di fata, so the fairy dust one, and it has this gold champagne kind of tone, and it's really elegant in my opinion. And finally we have the Timbrillo. Again, this will dry clear with sort of a silvery touch to it because of the pearlescence and the glitter contained in it. And it can be used together with other products also from the Tommy Art line to add pearlescence, for example, to matte pastes. But let's now talk about the cards that I created. So for the first one, I cut some watercolor cardstock to 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches, and I am preparing my background by first blending some distress oxides on it. And I am using Blueprint Sketch and Shaded Lilac, which work really great together. And once I have achieved a nice blend, I took a stencil and I will be adding this Brillo gel, so this gel medium with glitter in it, in the color luce, so the light one, through the stencil using a spatula. And as you can see, I am not applying the product all the way to the edge of the stencil or of the cardstock panel because I want it to look as if the light rays fade off into the background. And here you can see how beautiful the result is. And this product not only added shimmer and shine to the panel, but also reacted with the oxides and created a new tone, which was a very interesting result and tells me that there is really a lot to play around with these products, so you can experiment a lot and get very interesting effects with them. Next up, I started working on my clouds and on a cloud border, which I die cut again from some watercolor cardstock. And I'm adding shading to it and to these individual clouds using again Distress Oxide in Shaded Lilac. And because I wanted to warm up these colors a little bit, I am also using a very light end of Picked Raspberry. And because there is never too much glitter, I decided to take the Brillo gel that I had used on my background, dilute it with water and use a paintbrush to apply it to my clouds and to the cloud border to create some shine on those elements too. Off camera, I stamped and colored some images using my Spectrum Noir markers, and if you want to know the full list of supplies that I used on today's cards, you can visit my blog, which will be linked in the description box down below. So make sure to visit that. And coming back to the images, I decided that I wanted to add some shimmer to the clothes of these two fairies using the Timbrillo. So this product, as I said, will dry clear and will add some beautiful shimmer and shine to my images. So I picked up some product, I diluted it with water, and now I'm using a small paintbrush to apply it over my images, being careful not to go over the stamped lines because I used the water-based ink and I don't want it to smear. And at this point, everything is ready and I can start assembling my card. I will start by adhering the vellum cloud border, which I die cut off camera, to my sky background, and I am using some strong double-sided adhesive for that. I will then use my Nouveau Deluxe adhesive to adhere the other cloud border, the one I created out of watercolored cardstock. And then I will tack this fairy between the two borders, centering it with respect to the light rays so that the focus is on the fairy. And finally, I will use these two clouds and that smaller image to fill up the areas on the top right of my card. I then mounted everything on a top folding A2 card base and I decorated the inside of the card with the same fairy image, which I stamped with shaded lilac distress oxide, and the sentiment, which I stamped with blueprint sketch distress oxide. And this is my first card for today. For the second card, I prepared a series of landscape elements, so I have two hued sides. I have a rectangular panel that will be my sky, and then with the same hued side border dies that I used for the hues, I cut these two pieces of cardstock, and this will be my yellow brick road, because the stamps that I'm using today are based on the Wizard of Oz series. So I first laid down a coat of distress oxide in black soot, and now I am using a spatula to cover the entire surface with this Polvere di Carbone Brilli Gel by Tommy Art. And once that layer is dry, I will use the Polvere di Fata, so the fairy dust, and a stencil to create my golden bricks. So you can see that you can also layer these products to create some very interesting textures and very fun effects. And while my yellow brick road is put aside to dry, I can start working on my landscape elements. I am using distress oxides in Pewt Paint and Forest Moss to add color and shading to my hue sides. And I am making sure that the one on the back will be darker than the one that's going to end up in the forefront, because this will enhance the feeling of depth and will push the one that's on the back even further away from the observer. And also I am blending them from bottom to top, keeping the darker colors towards the lower parts of the hued sides and the lighter ones on the top. For the sky, because I wanted some more muted colors, I am using distress oxide in broken china and then in faded jeans to create again some shading. So I am using my mini ink blender to blend the two colors together. And finally, I am adding some water droplets, let them react with the oxides, and dabbing off the excess with a towel to create a fun look on my background. I then created another cloud border, and I'm adding some very subtle shading using distress oxide in shaded lilac. And this time I am using the Timbrillo to add some shimmer to this cloud border. So I am diluting it with water and I am applying it with a paintbrush all over my panel. And this will give a little bit of a different and of a colder look compared to the Brillo Gel Luce that I used on the cloud borders on the first card. So you can see that you can play around with finishes and colors to get exactly the look that you're going for. I have another fairy image that I stamped and colored off camera, again using my Spectrum Noir markers, and now I am adding some glitter to the crown and to the little jewel she has on her chest using the Polvere di Fata Brilli Gel, so the fairy dust one. For the blue parts of her dress, I am using the Brillo Gel in Luce, always diluting the product with some water so that it's easier to apply it with a paintbrush. And finally, for the pink areas of the dress, I used the Timbrillo. And these are all the elements that I need for my cards. I also created a second cloud border off camera, and now I can start adhering everything together. As a first step, I will glue the two hues together, and then I am adhering the golden brick road. and I'm trying to create a feeling of perspective by gluing the smaller one on the background and the larger die-cut piece on the foreground. I then adhered the cloud borders to the hue sides, and I cut the one in the back in half so that I have a little bit more freedom with the positioning. I am using some strong double-sided adhesive to adhere this panel to the sky, using my glass mat to position everything correctly, and finally I can adhere this cute fairy to my scene. I mounted this on a top-folding A2 card base, and I decorated the inside of the card again with a sentiment which I stamped with faded jeans, distress oxide, and another image of the fairy that I stamped with broken china distress oxide. And here's another look at these two cards that I created with products from the Tommy Art line. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I created these two cards for the second birthday of the Facebook group Card Making Italia, and I want to take the opportunity to thank the admins for having created and for maintaining such a lovely place to share our passion with lots of talented and kind crafters. So thank you. You can find all the information about the group in the blog post that you will find in the description box down below, and there you will also find the link to the Tommy Art shop in case you want to have a look and are curious about these products. And as always, if you like this video, please let me know in the comments below, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel, and I will catch you guys soon with the next one. Ciao!